The still air of the apartment was too quiet, so quiet that, when the faucet dripped at 12:04 a.m., the sound didn't echo. It vanished. Mara stood in the kitchen doorway, bare feet cold on the linoleum, arms wrapped around herself like she might fall apart. She hadn't turned on the lights. Didn't need to. The street lamp outside cast long, sickly yellow bars across the floor, enough to see the sink, the counter, the empty chair at the table. She hadn't slept in 3 nights. Not since the fire. Not since she'd left the stove on. Her brother's cough had woken her at 3 a.m. last Tuesday. She'd shuffled to the kitchen for water, tired, half dreaming, and lit the burner to boil tea. Then nothing. She'd fallen asleep on the couch, woke to smoke sirens, and the smell of burnt hair. Leo hadn't made it out. Now the apartment smelled only of bleach and silence. She'd scrubbed the walls, the floors, the cabinets until her knuckles bled, but the silence remained, thick, watchful. She walked to the sink, turned the faucet. Nothing. She twisted harder. A single drop fell, plink, then another, plink, but the water wasn't running. She backed away. Her heel hit the leg of the chair. It scraped softly against the floor, too softly. She hadn't moved it. Her breath hitched. She turned slowly. The chair faced the hallway now. Earlier, it had faced the window. She hadn't touched it. The air grew colder, not draft, the kind of cold that rose from the floorboards, seeped into her bones. She rubbed her arms. Goosebumps bloomed from the living room, a soft, creaked out like floorboards under weight. She froze, listened, silence, then a whisper of fabric, like someone shifting on the couch. Her pulse roared in her ears. She didn't move, didn't breathe. Another creak, closer from the hallway. She turned. The hallway was empty, but the bedroom door closed when she came home stood ajar. She walked toward it, each step deliberate, silent. The carpet muffled her feet. Too much, like the fibers swallowed sound. She stopped at the threshold. The bed was made, too neatly. She hadn't made it since the fire. On the pillow, a single ash dot gray, dry, impossible. She reached for it. Her fingers passed through. She jerked back, stumbled into the wall. The light switch clicked under her palm. She flicked it. Nothing. Power was out, but the street lamp still glowed outside. She turned, walked back to the kitchen, needed water, needed proof she was awake. The faucet dripped again, plink plink. She grabbed a glass, held it under the tap. The drops fell but missed the glass. Every one. They landed on the counter, evaporating instantly. She stared. Her hands trembled. Behind her, the refrigerator hummed to life. She hadn't plugged it in, unplugged it after the fire. Too many spoiled memories in the shelves. She turned. The fridge light glowed faintly through the crack in the door. She hadn't opened it. She stepped closer, pulled the door wide. Inside empty, clean, but the light was warm, and on the middle shelf, a single mug sat steaming. Leo's mug, chipped rim, blue stars. She hadn't washed it, had left it in the sink, covered in soot. Now it held tea, fresh, rising curls of vapor. She touched the handle, scalding. She dropped it. Ceramic shattered. Tea pooled on the floor but didn't spread. It gathered, pulled inward, formed a small, dark puddle that reflected nothing. She backed into the hallway. The bathroom door was open. She always closed it. She peered in. The mirror above the sink showed only darkness behind her. But the sink was full of water, still clear. She hadn't run the tap. She reached out, touched the surface. Warm. She pulled her hand back. Water rippled, stilled, then a drop fell from the ceiling. Plink, but the ceiling was dry. Another drop, and another. She looked up. Nothing. The dripping came from the air itself. She ran to the front door, twisted the knob. Locked. She always left it unlocked. Habit. Leo's rule. In case you need to run. Now the deadbolt was slid home. She turned. The living room was darker than before. The streetlight outside had dimmed, or been swallowed. On the coffee table a photograph. Leo, smiling, holding a fishing rod. Last summer, before the cough started. She hadn't looked at it since the funeral. She picked it up. The paper was damp, cold. On the back, in smudged ink, he left a flame burning. She dropped it. It landed face. Leo's smile widened. She blinked. Normal again. Her breath came in short gasps. She needed air. Needed to leave. But the windows closed, now stood open 6 inches. Cold air seeped in. Smelled of smoke. She walked to the nearest window. Peered out. The fire escape was empty. Then a flicker of movement below. A figure stood in the alley. Hood up, shoulders slumped, not moving. Watching. She stepped back. Closed the window. Locked it. Turned. The photograph was gone. The shattered mug hole again sat on the counter, steaming. She didn't touch it. She walked to the bedroom. Sat on the edge of the bed. Pressed her palms to her eyes. Go away, she whispered. I didn't mean to. Silence. Then a soft cough. Dry, rasping, from the hallway. Her blood turned to ice. Leo. No answer. Just the slow drag of bare feet on carpet. Coming closer, she stood. Backed into the corner. The door creaked open, empty, but the air thickened, warm, smelled of burnt cotton. She turned her head. On the pillow another ash dot, and beside it, a child's drawing. Charcoal on scorched paper. A stick figure. Lying on the floor. Flames above. And a second figure. Walking away. She reached for it. The paper crumbled to dust in her hands. The room grew colder, behind her. The closet door opened, slowly, smoothly. She didn't turn. She knew what was inside. Leo's winter coat. Still hanging, still smelling of smoke. But now the coat moved. Not from wind, from breath. Something stood inside it, wearing it. She closed her eyes. Stay, she whispered. Please, I'll stay. The coat stopped moving. The cold receded. She opened her eyes. The room was empty, but the bed now held 2 impressions. She walked to the kitchen. Sat at the table. The chair faced the hallway. She didn't remember turning it. The faucet dripped. Plinked. She didn't look. Outside. The street lamp flickered once, then died. Darkness filled the apartment. But the silence was gone now. It breathed. And in the hollow dark, something waited, not for forgiveness, not for justice, but for her to stop fighting the still air. She leaned forward, rested her forehead on the cool wood. I'm sorry, she said. The dripping stopped. The apartment held its breath, and for the first time since the fire, it felt warm.